Hey folks, figure I'd just jump on here. Got some time to kill before physical therapy. Figure I'd jump on a live stream and see what's going on in a bright and bushy-tailed Friday morning. Oh man, my arm hurts. It does hurt a little bit, so I gotta do these exercises like this. Oh man, that does it. It's ugh. All right, so a couple things I want to talk about. All right, so I've had a number of questions of people who are thinking about going to YouTube or becoming financial planners, and I figured I'd just share some ideas with you in that regard. The number one thing, and this is just kind of going back to, I did a thing on Trump yesterday, which which I thought was freaking fantastic, and all these people, I guess they're up in arms, like you're stridently supporting Trump. Like, I didn't get that. I chuckled, man. It was funny. I think you gotta be yourself, though. Let's just put it that way. If you're doing anything when it comes to any kind, it's just me. I mean, I don't look. I'm not a rich guy. Don't take your financial entrepreneurship or business acumen from me by any stretch. But there's so many people out there just towing whatever the party line is, and that just bores the hell out of me. For me personally, I'm a curious guy. There's a big world out there, stuff that's of interest. I just happen to be a professional financial planner, and I know it very, very well. But I'm interested in a myriad bunch of things, and not to not to share that is not who I am. And so I think if you're thinking about doing a YouTube channel, a blog, or anything, I think it's okay to let people know your soul. I don't get this thing. You should keep your politics out of your. It's all part of you. And look, and this one guy said the Dixie Chicks got hammered because of what they said about Bush. I don't care. Look, just because some people got offended, who cares? I'd much rather know where you stand than not. I don't know. I find it weird that people get so upset, like when people show their politics. Why would you not want to know that? It's just weird to me. And I just, especially if you're a curious person. I mean, are you not interested in the state of the climate? Well, if you are, wouldn't you want to do some research on how things are there? I mean, just to understand it. I don't care what side of it. I mean, I do. I think you're crazy if you think CO2 is going to kill us all, but whatever. But don't you want to at least know, other than just reading some freaking headline in the New York Times? Aren't you at least at all interested in the state of the college football playoff? Aren't you all interested in learning the state of how to garden better, to raise apple tree? I mean, just, it's a huge world. It's incredibly interesting. How to raise children. Are we truly getting, is there truly too much, what's the word, electronics, TV time, screen time? Is there truly too much there? I mean, I don't know. But there's all kinds of issues out there that are of interest. So I was reading a guy a few years back. He said, Brian Kaplan, if that memory serves, Brian Kaplan, he's a professor at George Mason, economist. I think he's still there. I'm not sure. But he had written a book called Stop Worrying and Have More Children, or maybe Selfish Reasons to Have More Children. And I thought it was very, very interesting because his whole premise was your children are basically born the way they're going to be. And no matter what you do, essentially, it's not really nature versus nurture, it's nature. And he said, just, basically you can't change them. They're going to be who they're going to be. So get off this idea that you need to have them so structured, you need to have them so focused, that way they can get a good job and successful and be happy. They're going to be who they're going to be. And I'm just telling you, I completely agree with that. And he goes back using twins that were separated at birth and stuff. It's incredibly interesting. And I mean, that's the whole point, though. So if you're going to do a YouTube channel, I mean, why would you pigeonhole yourself into something that says all you're going to talk about is this? I don't get it. I mean, look, that's why I like that guy Wrangler Star, because he talks about homesteading, but he also talks about other things too that he finds of interest. See, I like that kind of stuff. You might. No, that's fine. I do. I think it's interesting. And I think the more you can learn about other people's perspective, I think the more interesting it is, because everyone has their own story. And the point is, you're always going to offend people, no matter, anytime you say anything about anything, it's going to offend somebody. I mean, hell, you should see some of the hate mail I get from saying don't hire a financial planner, a professional money manager. I get more hate mail on that than I do on the climate change stuff. It's crazy. And so, I mean, anytime you're going to say something and state, and you're going to get people upset with it. There's no other way around that. But you got to do it, man. There's nothing. I mean, I watch some of these guys. who are starting YouTube channels, and I used to be part of this Facebook book, and now I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I'm not anymore. They're always looking for advice on this, that, and the other, and I always say just go there, be yourself, and you're gonna offend somebody by saying something that someone's not gonna like, but you know when you're not, when you're so bland that no one's offended. I mean, maybe it's just me. I think you're being too boring. I think, and I'm not saying go out there deliberately offend people, but I think by just having a personality, someone's going to be offended. Hell, I get people offended by me just because I talk. They're like, you talk too much. You blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't talk about Walter Payton. When I went to Jackson State University and got to see the Walter Payton tiny little plaque down there, which was amazing to me because I thought Walter Payton statue had been prominent. People are like, you shouldn't talk about that. Or I did one on the tax code. You shouldn't talk about the tax code. And I was like, well, I'm doing one on the tax code. And if you're not talking about the politics that go into taxes, i.e. the Trump tax bill, I don't know, how can you possibly talk about the tax code correct? It's just weird to me, man. I don't know, whatever. So just remember, if you're going to do a YouTube channel, drop the pretense of having to be all things to all people. You're not going to be. But there's a big world out there, and there's going to be somebody who appreciates what you're doing, and other people may not appreciate it, but will at least appreciate that you're being you. Too much, there's just too much plain vanilla stuff out there in this world. I'm tired of it, frankly. I never was offended by, I never liked the Dixie Chicks music. Bored the hell out of me, frankly. A lot of that pop country. Oh, let's see. What would I rather listen to? What would I rather do than listen to pop country? All right, so my thing of hell is going to New York City on New Year's Eve and having to listen to that one song by Cher. There's a song she sings. I don't know how it goes. I said, if I have to hear that in New York City on New Year's Eve, I will know I've gone to hell. I forgot how the song goes, or else I sing it to you in my glamorous voice. But maybe the next thing is listening to bland people on YouTube who got no personality. I think that might be another reason I know I've gone to hell. And remember, when you go to hell, you've chosen it. God doesn't send you to hell. You chose to deny God. So that would be my choice. So for me, I know if I go to listen to Cher on New Year's Eve in New York City, I've literally chosen that over God. Scared me. So the Dixie Chicks and all that pop country music, I think I'd rather stand on top of the Empire State Building, slice my wrist, dive into a pool of starving great white sharks than have to listen to pop country music or Cher on New Year's Eve. At New York City, I think I'd rather be eaten alive by sharks, torn apart by sharks who are starving, than any of that. And then the pop country music it's painful. It's only gonna get worse. Nashville is trying so hard to be mainstream. It's nuts. It's only gonna get worse, which is sad. And any kind of pop music, I think I'd rather do anything than listen to that. The point is, the Dixie Chicks. This guy said about the Dixie Chicks and how Republicans were so offended. Well, some were. Frank, and like I said, I don't care. Literally don't care. I mean, hell, look at Rage Against the Machine. I'll never forget, I was interviewed in his magazine called The American Prospect back in 1999 when I was doing my, I had a CD label, and I was doing hardcore and metal bands. And I had, I was running, probably 2,000 cuts of CDs, and I had distribution people all over the world: Brazil, Japan, Russia, Singapore, and then tons in America. And all it was trading. You trade these guys, you trade your CDs. You get this what's called a distro, a distribution center, which is my third bedroom that wasn't being used at that point when we lived in Phoenix. And anyway, I'd go up to shows at Arizona State University. What's up, Scott? I'd go to shows and I'd set up a table, and there'd be these various bands in there, and we'd set up table. I would set up a table, sell my stuff. Scott, what's going on? And I'd say, and try to sell my stuff. And it was actually quite profitable, believe it or not, because you do a run of 2,000 CDs. It probably costs you $5,000, so maybe $250 per. And that would include the shrink wrap, that include the CD stuff, the cover. It always, so that was back 20 years ago. I don't know what it is now. I guess you don't do CDs anymore, but you sell them for $5 a pop, and you can make some money doing that. I mean, it's tough because you had to develop a network of people to do that. Anyway, long story short, I was, hey Dana, I was, just waiting on to go to physical therapy. So I set up these things, and long story short, some guy from the American Prospect, a big liberal rag, who was run and owned by Robert Reich, and if you remember him, he was Clinton's Department of Labor guy, his Secretary of Labor, and a guy from the Department of from the American Prospect interviewed me back in 1999 about being a libertarian heavy metal guy. And it's just kind of funny. The point about that and I told him in that interview, it's like, look, I like the music of Rage Against the Machine. I simply can't listen to it because they're commies. And they're fake commies. I mean, if they were true commies and they lived by the cause, they'd do, what's going on, Tina? They would live like my parents did. They'd live in a commune. And they, Tom Morella and Zach from Rage Against the Machine, they're rich kids. I mean, I get it. They like capitalism. I get it. It's hypocritical, but they got a right to be hypocritical. I got a right to. I mean, I'm sure I'm hypocritical in my own way, for sure. The point was that you knew where Rage Against the Machine stand, and so you said I'm gonna buy their music or I'm not. I didn't, because I didn't want to support commies. Harry, hey, right on, Harry. And it's too bad that some people are so closed-minded that they Rob, Central Massachusetts, that they just don't hear a counterpoint, and they say you should stay on focus, you should stay on this. And I'm too curious, my friends. I'm just talking about it for y'all to just join in. Well, I got some time here to kill, and I see my doctor, who's probably gonna chop my arm off. I got too much curiosity and too much interest in various things to not talk about it on my YouTube channel, because this is, for me, it's the way I can, verbalize everything that's interesting to me. And that might not be of interest to you, but it's of interest to me. And it just happens to be financial planning is my core, but other things of interest to me too. Music, environment, gardening, pro sports, hockey particularly, the lack of a college football playoff. But we have a playoff, Josh. No, we don't. No. If the SEC automatically gets a bid, it's not a true playoff. And I know I got tons of people who are SEC fans who follow me who gonna flip out. I got a guy named Gators fan who posted me on something on yesterday, say, keep up the stuff, Josh. I said, yeah, you probably won't say that when you hear my take on the SEC come football season. How can you call it a true college football playoff when the SEC gets not one but two automatic bids? Oh man, come on. We got to make it a 16-team playoff and let these guys play it out. Oh, college football, you don't know how much money you're leaving on the table by not having a playoff. But they got to go to class. It's in the flipping wintertime. There is no school in the wintertime. How does basketball do it? Hey, thanks, Tina. Tina says, you're always going to offend somebody. I get it, man. That's... I mean, the problem is, believe it or not, I'm actually a nice guy. I don't want to offend people, but I recognize I'm gonna. I don't enjoy making people mad, but I'm not going to apologize. I mean, my goodness. If I apologize every time I made somebody mad, I'd never have anything to say, because I'm married to a lady who I should be apologizing 24/7, if you know what I'm saying. So if I had to apologize for everything I do, there'd be no time to do anything else. Anyway, so I appreciate y'all, being in there and hanging in. It's I got 25 years, no, I guess 20 years. 22 years of working for financial planning firms. 22 years. Exactly, Harry. The road to the championships, it shouldn't be through the SEC. That's what I'm trying to say. If you look at their bowls, their record in the bowls in the last basically 10 years, it's subpar. It's subpar. So why does everyone say the SEC is so freaking killer when they're subpar and their out-of-conference records are not good? It's not. I'm not saying the SEC isn't good. I'm just saying, why do they automatically get a bid? It doesn't make sense to me. And then they get two half the time. It's nuts. It shouldn't be like that. It should be a 16-team playoff. Every other division in college, to include football, does it. There's no reason the SEC can't do it, other than the fact, Cardi B, pop music, man. Other than the fact that the SEC and ESPN are tied at the hip to promote the SEC, and they got people in there who think the SEC is God's chosen who's is God's chosen conference. It's not, man. I mean, they're like, but the SEC won all these championships. I'm like, yeah, that'd be like saying whoever wins the AFC East should automatically go to the Super Bowl, because the AFC East has won or been in the Super Bowl, what, freaking 18 of the last 20 years or something like that. It's all because of Patriots. So if you win the AFC East, you're automatically granted to the Super Bowl. That's the same argument about the SEC. The SEC wins all these championships. Yeah, because they're always granted a spot in the game. There's my man Frank. Right on, Frank. See, this is like my man Frank. I got Ari on here, and I don't know about Frank so much. Frank says he's conservative. I imagine he is. But Ari's big lib. But he writes and he argues in a way, Rob, it's endearing. I don't get why people can't do this in this day and age. And just to yell at people, you don't agree with me, you must be a Nazi or a commie. It's stupid. Don't be like that. My man Rob just sent me a video from Nick Gillespie from Reason Magazine. And this is what cracked me up. I had this reporter on my video yesterday tell me that he was a former reporter and he doesn't listen to anything from the alt-right or far left or far right. And I'm like, okay, so where do I fall into that? Because I certainly don't consider myself far right. And I told him, I said, this is the problem with journalism nowadays, is that you guys can't see anything. You see everything, this false dichotomy of a flat line, a 2D dimensions. You can't see that there's another dimension above the line that you're trained on. And this is the problem with journalism. Is always got to pit one against the other. I say, well, let's see. If I believe something over here and I don't believe something over there, but I believe something over there and I don't believe something over here, where does that make me? And the answer is it makes me up here as a libertarian. And you could be, I mean, there's tons of, I follow these survival podcasts, Jack Spirko's prepping network thing, the Survival Podcast, tons of liberal types, old school hippie types on there who don't agree with a lot of stuff on gun rights and stuff like that, but they certainly are about, making sure we protect our soil, non-interventionist, certainly not a draft and stuff like that. And it's amazing to me when I get in an argument how I'm unequivocally against the draft. Unequivocally, the people who yell at me are the people from the right. Oh, you don't believe we should defend America? I said, no, I don't believe you should be forced to fight a war that you don't agree with. I absolutely don't agree with that in the least. Got too much history of men, a few women, but men dying, but the women certainly being left behind because of wars that the rich people chose to fight, with knowing full well that they could draft people to fight those wars for them, the poor people essentially, and they wouldn't have to suffer the consequence. But yet the families of the draftees would, and if they did not fight, they were literally executed, if not banished outright. Just read the history of World War I. Fracking sad, dude. Sad, horribly sad. If you read the history of World War I and you come out and say we should have a draft, I would, man, I did not hear that. China's may declare martial law in Hong Kong. So my man Rob just posted, I hear China is amassing troops and may declare martial law in Hong Kong. There's only two things for China to do. Do that or let Hong Kong go. So that's it. That's sad. What was it, 97 when the Brits let Hong Kong go to China? Horrible, man. Should never have done that. If you want to see a reason of capitalism versus socialism, just look at Hong Kong versus China. You look at Guangdong. When China allows some capitalistic infrastructure, just a little bit, Guangdong and Shenzhen. There's another one out there. There's a couple guys that I've talked to who know this better than I do, but I've read this. Guangdong, yeah, okay, so yeah, Bernie Madoff. But Guangdong was a capitalist, kind of like an opportunity zone in China, so to speak. And that took off like a bat out of hell. So you got Hong Kong, you got Guangdong, and you got the regular China. Sad. Then you can look at like Singapore versus Cuba. And I'd actually look at Hong Kong, or you could look at Taiwan, Singapore, then you look at Cuba. So Hong Kong's booming. In fact, I'm reading a book right now by what's the guy's name? The guy who wrote Shogun. Is actually interesting as all can be. Hong Kong was a booming, thriving capitalist economy. It still is. And China was not. Hong Kong has no natural resources, none whatsoever. No armies to take people's natural resources. It's just booming economically because of capitalism. It's freaking nuts. this anti-capitalist mentality. Oh, there's a book called The Anti-Capitalism Mentality. I think is that Hayek or is that Ayn Rand? Anti-capitalist. I have it in my anyway. So if you're interested in, I've read it, either Hayek or Ayn Rand, Anti-Capitalist Mentality. I think that's actually the title of the book. Hong Kong is a huge, shining example on the hill of capitalism and its wonders. And I don't understand that. So anyway, so my man Rob has sent me this video on from Nick Gillespie, ardent anti-Trumpster. Is he far? But I want to call him a far left, even though he's ardent anti-Trumpster, because he's not far left. And I mean, I don't get why we have to have this false dichotomy, left or right. It's weird to me when people fall in different categories. And my man Frank said he voted for Reagan. He doesn't like the Trumpster, so if he voted for Reagan, does that make him hard right? I don't know. Ari, who always, he might not be on here anymore. Ari, is he far left because he sees things differently than me? But I don't consider myself far right. That's the whole point. Why would you want to, label people like that? It's weird to me. We need to do this labeling. Oh, you're this, you're that. I don't get it. I don't think you should do that. But do whatever you got to do. I think it's simplicity, actually. I think the nature of today's current society is just a lack of curiosity, a lack of effort, a lack of reading, a lack of just saying, what else has happened in history that makes me interested? What else am I interested other than sports scores? Or what else am I interested other than Cardi B? It's sad. And unfortunately, our education system certainly isn't in entertaining critical thinking. And that's not good, man. So you're going to have to be that person if you're going to be on YouTube, on Facebook, or doing a blog. I would task you with the idea of being a personality, that you just being yourself. That doesn't mean you have to be entertaining, but just be yourself and say what's on your mind and recognize, let the chips fall where they may. But if you want to get out there and successfully do this kind of stuff with content, well, you got to know something, and you got to be of something that is helping people. And, if you can do that, that's good. So if you're freaking a mechanic, talking to a guy in Kansas City who's a big mechanic, and he says he finds a lot of, so I said, I was talking to him the other day, and I said, how do you, with all the technology changes and all the, the proprietary computer information, how do you think about stuff? Like, how do you keep up with the time, so to speak? And he said he just goes on YouTube a lot because there's a lot of internal mechanics, just regular mechanics, your regular small town mechanic out there who's got the same issues, but they all kind of gather and they all kind of watch each other's YouTube channel to help each other out. And that's what you should be doing. You should be trying to say, I'm going to do my channel to help each other out. That's what you should do, absolutely. But don't be so bland that you help each other out that you lose your personality. I don't think you should do that, because those are a dime a dozen, man. And again, this is just my opinion. Just because it's my opinion doesn't mean crap, trust me. I mean, there's tons of guys with well more people than I've got, but I don't think you should be pigeonholed into anything. I just think you should be your own person and let the chips fall where they may. And it's fun, because what happens is you get fun. And what happens on top of that is you engage with people who give you a different point of view. It's freaking... why would you not be open to a new idea as long as it's presented in a reasonable manner? And I'm telling you, this whole, look, man, I don't want to get into it right now, but let's just put it this way. There's an old band called Life of Agony, and the singer was a short guy, but he was freaking fantastic. Life of Agony went a little bit too poppy to me, a lot too poppy to me, but there are some of the most brutal shows I ever went to back in the late 80s and early 90s. And then they went kind of too poppy, and it turns out the singer is now not a man anymore. He's transitioned. And this idea that, and then I talked about Deidre McCloskey is an economist, a big libertarian economist out of University of Illinois, Champaign. And she used to be a man. And I just find it of interest to me, like, how does that happen? I don't know. And so for me for anyone to sit there and say you're anti this or anti that, I think everybody's searching and curious, and I find that interesting. And it's kind of like when like I said, my mom was a bookkeeper for a gay book restaurant in Portland, Maine, and so I've always been around gays all my life. Never really paid much mind to it. Didn't really care that much. Frankly, still don't care that much. But it's always been of interest to me, because I always said, I'd never liked men. I've always liked ladies. I've always been attracted to ladies. Literally from the day I was a little kid, I remember being attracted to women, if you know what I'm saying, like a little kid. Like, man, those people are gorgeous. Those people are not. It's always been like that. And I've had some chances to talk to gay people, and they said the same thing. They said it's just the way they were born, which is why I've come around on the gay thing, because I just literally, A, I don't care. B, I don't, I think it literally is the way they're born. And I mean, if they choose, look, I don't get it. And, men don't attract me at all. And apparently, well, I don't want to say anything, because if you ask my wife, she says the same thing. Now, that was funny. Men don't attract me at all. If you ask my wife, she says the same thing. That was funny. You got to admit, that was funny. Oh, man. If she would watch my videos, she would divorce me 2 seconds flat. The point about that is, it's a curiosity that's out there. Like, why do people do what they do? Which is the basic things of economics, man. That's what economics is great, because why are people engaged in the activities they are? Why do people become men who are women? It doesn't happen that much, but why do men become women who used to be men? The guy from Life of Agony. I mean, you're not going to get much more of a tough guy band than that. That dude now is Mina. What's that guy's last name? It was Keith Caputo. Now it's Mina Caputo. I remember it's like, whoa, I'm shocked. Does that mean I don't like the band? No, it's weird to me. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, why? But maybe it's just as weird to me as it was being for, I don't know, gays. But the gays was never that weird to me, because I kind of grew up with it. But I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't get this. Explain. It's like, like Homer says, your ideas are intriguing to me. I'd like to subscribe to your newsletter. Why not be open-minded and say, tell me about it? Now, that doesn't mean you have to I mean, there's always going to be that doesn't mean, for me, no one should have, there should be no, preferential treatment for anybody. Again, if there's going to be a preferential treatment in this society, it should only be for American blacks and American Indians. That's it. And it shouldn't be for blacks who immigrated here. It shouldn't be for freaking blacks, Kamala Harris. It should only be for people like that, in my opinion, if you're going to have any kind of preferential treatment. But other than that, no. And there shouldn't be preferential treatment for anybody else either. But, yeah. All right, well, I guess that's it. I got to get ready to go into this office here. I just wanted to yap a little bit while I had some downtime. I didn't see any questions, so I'll do my live stream on Sunday. So just be kind. Be yourself. Be open-minded. Be curious. It's worth it, man. It's worth it. It's worth it to hear another point of view. It really is. And don't be so pigeonholed. Yeah, right on, Harry. Where you think you have all the answers when we don't. We can't have all the answers. You know why? Because we're human beings. It's impossible for us to know everything. It's wonderful when you open your mind and heart up to things, and you get a new sense of, that's interesting. I did not know that. It's incredible. It's incredible. But, all right, let me get in here, finish up my Starbucks. Appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget, real quick. All right, I got 30 minutes, so I think I got a couple more minutes. I did this thing on Wellington in the Great Depression, and I've been doing this a lot on my podcast, on my blog post, in my subscriber thing, my email. I'm telling you, man, that Wellington. So as a bucket strategy on the Wellington in the Great Depression, that worked like a charm. I was stunned. I was stunned how well that worked. And so you had $100,000. You take $5,000 a year, in the first year, and adjust it with inflation. Yeah, Rob's the only one with all the answers. That's because you're in Worcester. And you not only did not run out of money during the Great Depression, you actually had over $100,000 30 years later, adjusted for inflation. It's nuts. And I have some conclusions on that, which you can read if you go to Heritage Wealth Planning. No, I don't want to put Splinty on. I don't think I need to, Dana. I'm going to see the big guy up here right now. I hope I don't get yelled at. But anyway, you should read that. Yeah, no, right on, Theo. It's I am stoked to see what happens in the 70s of Wellington. It's gonna be crazy because 70s are the bear. So again, if you go to the website, click on the ads. It does pay me. I don't know how much it pays me. I have no idea, but I know it pays me more than 2 cents. So if you don't click on the ads, I don't get paid. I think I got 2 cents yesterday, or I got like $5 the other day when a couple of people clicked on the ads. So do me a favor and click on those ads if you go to the blog post. It does help me out. All right, we got to run in here. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Thanks now.